We haven't done this yet. If you weren't around yesterday, you're probably scratching your head going, Premier's Picks? Well, it's today, and we go all the way out to the island, to Prince Edward Island, to find the Premier with the Premier's Conference, the Canadian Premier's Conferences, and the territories as well. Premier Wall, how's the island? How's the red clay?
You know, it's beautiful here. This is the second time, and it's just a great part of Canada. Great people. Except for the ocean, it's a lot like the people are the same as back home, and are very friendly. And the Weston Dressler news broke out here too, and so there's Rider Nation represented, and it's all good. We're pretty happy about that. We started talking about reducing trade barriers, and the next day, Weston Dressler comes to town, so that's pretty good. I don't know if that's related at all, but that's pretty good.
Brendan Tammon says you're still the number one guy in Saskatchewan, despite Weston Dressler. Do you agree with that?
You know what? He's not wrong very often, but he's absolutely wrong on this one. There'd be a long list: Chick, Brackenridge, Dressler, Durant. Yeah, no, it gets laughed. No, a long list. Other people, my mom, you guys, you're all.
Oh yeah, we'll drop to about 500th on that list. That's okay with me. Premier Wall, pretty good week last week, and if I made the dumb decision, I will admit you heard it here where I paused and paused and paused. I could have gone 4 for 4.
That's right.
But I picked the BC Lions.
You picked against 97, John Chick in the defense. You picked against Tino Sinceri. Come on.
Gary picked before me even took BC. That should have been a sign.
Well, and they were kind of, we were all bugging you to go ahead and pick the Riders. I know we're always short for time, and I have a couple of guests.
Okay.
We have the host of the Premier's Conference, Robert Ghiz, who's probably become as good a friend as I have in politics over the years. He's the Dean of Canadian Premiers at the tender age of 40 because he keeps getting reelected out here.
Right on.
And he's a Riders fan. He cheers for the 49ers in the NFL. I've seen pictures of his kids in Riders gear that we may have sent him. And I think he's prepared to make a few picks. And then after that, the Premier of Yukon, from as you guys know, from Yorkton originally, Darrell Pasloski will make my picks for me. So
Did he go perfect last year? I would think
he did 4-0 last year.
Yeah, he went
last week, but last year when you were on picks, was that 4-0? He went 4-0 last year.
Oh yeah, he was perfect last year if I remember correctly.
Here's Premier Ghiz, Jamie.
All right, Premier Ghiz, the host of the Premier's Conference. How are you this evening?
We're doing just fantastic. Wonderful to be hosting Canada's Premiers, and it's wonderful to have a great Saskatchewan boy here in Brad Wall. He's promoting Saskatchewan, and anywhere he goes, he kind of tells everybody that if they're into the CFL at all, that the Rough Riders are the team to go with.
Absolutely. He's got to host you guys on Labor Day weekend and have you all at the Labor Day Classic against Winnipeg. That'd be a great showcase.
You want to know what? Here's what I'll do. When the Rough Riders are playing for the Grey Cup this year, when Premier Wall invites me, I don't know where it is this year, but I'll go with Premier Wall for it.
Vancouver, out to the West Coast.
We're going to Vancouver for the Grey Cup.
Oh. You heard it. Then now he's got to do it because it's been on the radio. Premier, let's start off with Ottawa and Montreal tomorrow night.
Ottawa, Montreal. I'm going underdog. They've got one win, but you want to know what? You got to pick the odds. If you want to go out on a limb every once in a while, I'm taking Ottawa.
Going with the Ottawa Red Blacks. How about the Riders and the Bombers? Be careful, you're on Saskatchewan radio.
That's a no-brainer. After the come-from-behind win last week and the quarterback being out there a little bit at the end of the game, and now they're coming home for the Labor Day Classic there. No-brainer. We're going Riders all the way. Rider Nation.
And some fan support in the background. Toronto, How about Toronto-Hamilton? Not sure where it's going to be played, whether it's going to be at Tim Hortons Field or in Toronto, but either way, it's the Argos and the Tiger Cats.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Tiger Cats. There's a chance it could be in the new stadium there, so I'm going Tiger Cats.
And finally, the Battle of Alberta, Calgary and Edmonton.
You know, that's a coin flip, but myself being a premier, I'm going with the Capital. So I'm going with Edmonton on that one, and love Calgary, great spot to visit. No offense to them, but I'm just, as a premier, I got to go with the Capital. So we're going to Edmonton. Premier
Ghiz, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Here's Darrell.
Okay, here's Mr. Perfect, as I'm now calling him, Premier of the Territories, Yukon. Darrell, how are you?
Jamie, I'm great. How are you?
Very well. Of course, former Saskatchewanian, now up in the Yukon territories. You went now.
Former season ticket holder as well.
Well, we know you're picking Saskatchewan this week, then.
Yes. Well, yes, we're of course we're going to do that.
and you are picking for the Premier?
That's what he said, and I'll just let you know. You said when I was on the show last year that I was 4-0. I was 4-0 last week as well. So a little bit of a roll, and the Premier's got a lot of confidence in me, and so he's asked me to do that for him. So just a little bit more pressure, but we perform well under pressure.
I don't know if the Premier can hear me. I hope not. Can you sandbag this one? Can you make bad picks? Because I'm chasing down the Premier in the standings, and if you could really do me a solid,
I would. He would never allow me to live that down. I probably can't do that. I'm going to have to go with my instinct on this.
Okay, let's start off with Ottawa and Montreal.
Ottawa and Montreal. This game is doesn't go really high on my excitement scale. I think that there's both of those teams have a few issues. I think the Red Blacks have a better situation at quarterback. But quite simply, I think on this one, I'm going to go with Montreal because they're playing at home.
And
that's all there is to that one.
Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, we've already gone through that one. Of course, picking the Riders.
Of course. It's going to be, we're 5-0 in the last 5 games. Winnipeg hasn't been playing as well as they were earlier in the season. They're going to be a little hungrier. We've got Sinceri's starting at quarterback. But you know what? Our D has just been incredible. And I think I mentioned last year that I got a friend, one of my son's friends, Ben Heenan. They were at school together. I have nothing but unbelievable praise for that O-line as well. So when you combine that D and that O-line and how they pounded the ball at the end of the last game, it's Riders all the way.
And even better news is Darian Durant looks good enough to play, so they don't even have to go to the backup against Winnipeg this week.
Well, that's even better news.
And Toronto-Hamilton in the Battle of Ontario on Labor Day.
It's difficult this year when you see that the leading team in the East is 3-6. But I'm going to go for the upset as well. I'm going to say, Hamilton in their brand new digs are going to win this game. They're going to pull off the upset.
And finally, the Battle of Alberta.
This is going to be a good game too. I believe it's going to be a good game. Calgary's at home, and I think they have a running back. I think, is he starting this game?
Oh, yeah. John Cornish back last week, ready to go.
So I'm going to go with the Stamps.
Going with the Calgary Stampeders. Thank you very much, Premier Pasloski.
It's nice to talk to you again. All the best to you and all the listeners out in Riderville. Take care.
Yeah, right on. There we go. There's the Premier's picks right there. Montreal, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, and Calgary. Of course, he goes with Mr. Perfect from the Yukon territories last week.
I love it. You guys are calling him Mr. Perfect.
Yes. You have to play the theme song for him next time he's introduced for the Premier's meetings.
It's better than the Razor Ramon theme song. But anyway, thanks, you guys.
Yep.
I know we're probably running out of time, but there you have it. There's the picks from Prince Edward Island, and go Riders! Big day on Sunday.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Premier Wall.
All the best, guys.
Okay, there is Premier, of course, always hands the phone around to some of the Premiers as we now we have to make the picks. Gary, now we have the lay of the land. He's going Montreal, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, and Calgary. Real quick, let's do this for our picks. We'll get fake gainers on the board a little later, but what do you got between Ottawa and Montreal?
I gotta take Ottawa. Ooh. Give me that Ottawa. We gotta make ground, right?
Let me guess, you're going Winnipeg against the Riders?
Of course.
Hamilton, Toronto?
Toronto.
And Edmonton, Calgary?
And I'm going to take Edmonton. Now that you know my picks, let's not piggyback my hot ride right now.
Well, I'm going Montreal first off. I'll go with the Premier on that one. Going Saskatchewan over Winnipeg, no doubt. I'm going to go Toronto over Hamilton. Still trying to gain some ground on the Premier, but just one thing different. I'll also go Calgary over the Edmonton Eskimos.
And the worst part here, Jamie, is I was finally ready to start doing the all West thing, and then we come up to Labor Day weekend, and I'm like, well, I can't do that now.
Yeah, there you go. Now it's division battles, finally.
Back to my gut, which always loses.
So back to the basement for Gary the King Nickel here on Premier's Picks.